Hello to you all and welcome to IMPROVATE's AgriTech 2021 International Conference. I'm Lauren Izo. IMPROVATE is a platform for creating long-lasting connections, enabling change makers in technology and decision makers in government to make progress through innovation. IMPROVATE is all about finding solutions and sparking collaborations that improve the quality of life for people around the world. Today's broadcast will be dedicated to agriculture and water in arid regions. Israel is considered a world leader in the field of agritech, considering the fact that over 60% of its landmass is desert, and it possesses limited natural resources. Israel has developed the ability to assimilate advanced agricultural technologies based on research, also creating innovative solutions to maximize the use of water resources and growing agricultural crops in extreme desert conditions. Thus, it is equipped to meet vital needs in developing its agriculture. Okay, our next company, NRGene, is a software company that uses artificial intelligence to analyze genomic big data, optimizing and accelerating the natural breeding of plants and animals used for agriculture. NRGene develops and commercializes cutting-edge AI-based genomic tools that are reshaping agriculture and livestock around the world. By applying its cloud-based software solutions, NRGene provides leading international agriculture, seed, and food companies with computational tools to optimize and accelerate their breeding programs, significantly increasing crop yield and saving time and money. Take a look.
Population growth and climate change pose great challenges to food production around the world. Fortunately, integrating genomics into breeding processes is a great way to provide more food with the same limited resources. But doing so successfully requires the right tools. Introducing NRGene's computational platform, where all your genomic needs are answered in one easy-to-use, centralized place.
Guy Cole is one of NRGene's founders and currently serves as the VP of Strategic Accounts. Guy's day-to-day focus is mainly on managing NRGene's long-term strategic projects, while continuing to shape NRGene's future solutions and alliances. Hello, Guy. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So can you briefly explain what breeding is in general, and how do you accelerate it, and why are you doing that?
Well, breeding is the intentional use of crossing to improve a specific trait or combination of traits in specific animals or plants. Let's take drought resistance, for example. You want to improve drought resistance, so you take a group of plants, you measure their drought resistance, and you cross the ones that are best drought resistant, and you look at the offsprings. And you do it again. You take the most drought resistant, you cross them, but that's a long and kind of tedious process, but at the end, you get a very, very drought resistant group. What are we really doing here? We're actually selecting the best genetics for drought resisting. So what NRGene does is helps you predict what will be those genetic components that need to gather together for drought resistance without doing all this long and tedious process, allowing our customers to get higher yield for what they're doing, get to market faster, and actually have the whole thing streamlined.
So who are your natural partners and how do they benefit from working with NRGene?
So we have many different partners, but I'll mention some. Many of them are product companies that are using a specific plant or animal for their final product. That could be coffee companies, that could be aquaculture, that could be wood companies, and of course the other group is a group that sells seeds to farmers. So they want to improve those seeds to have the farmers pay them better. How do they improve it? They go through exactly that same breeding process I just described. And they have this R&D unit, which costs them a lot of money to do that. So NRGene is actually selling its AI components into those R&D groups to make all this process a lot quicker and a lot more cost-effective.
And can you give me an example of a project that solves some of these climate challenges?
Certainly. We're working with Bridgestone, the large global tire company, to actually help them find an alternative source for natural rubber. Natural rubber is used in many of their big tires to actually hold them and make them better. They need a source for natural rubber that is always there, and natural rubber is currently coming from the rubber tree, which is growing in tropical areas and mainly in Southeast Asia, and so is exposed to diseases and some geopolitical problems. Bridgestone is worried about their supply chain. And they are trying to get a new source of natural rubber, mainly from a shrub called guayuli growing in the desert of Arizona. They want to have that in a major growth in those desert areas and get this production, into their pipeline. But for that, they need to improve yield. They need to improve the speed of growing for the plants. And NRGene is exactly doing that part of the R&D work to get them to a plant that is faster growing, higher yielding, and we can actually be that source of natural rubber for them going forward.
And what's next for you guys? What can we expect from NRGene in the next few years?
Okay, so I think the future is bright for NRGene. NRGene has just gone through a very successful IPO in the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, and we're growing our teams both locally and in North America. We're looking for partners who will actually allow us to get into high-value, very exciting projects. NRGene is actually trying to do two things now. We are getting into something called CRISPR, which is we're leading an Israeli consortium that is trying to use CRISPR, which is a Nobel Prize-winning technology, to speed even faster the whole process of genetic improvements. And then we're looking for partners to share the final product with. So NRGene can be part of exciting things like, gluten-free wheat or alternative protein production, or things that are very fastly growing in a desert or low water conditions. All those, if they're successful, are very high value projects, both commercially and of course as we heard here, for humanity as a whole.
So an extremely versatile technology.
Yes.
Guy Cole, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
That's it from IMPROVATE's International Agritech Conference. We've heard today from officials and businessmen in Israel, the UAE, and Africa, and the Israeli agritech companies who presented their technologies today: Netafim, Alga Health, WFI Group, Supplant, NRGene, GES, and Ramat Negev Desert Agro Research Center. IMPROVATE is all about access and connections, exposing Israeli tech leaders to governments and companies around the world to promote businesses whose goal is innovation. The exposure right here at this conference is a first step. The next step, delegations and real-world business connections. We want to thank you all for taking part and hope this is just the start of doing business together, making technology accessible to all and improving the lives of people across the world. Keep an eye out for IMPROVATE's next conference on renewable energy. That is on March 9th. I'm Lauren Izzo. Thank you for watching.